Salesfeed.
Nicole Kidman once sat down next to me while I was waiting at the airport. We were in the Admiral's Lounge in the crowded terminal when she asked to use the outlet located under my seat. I looked up from my reading and my eyes almost bugged out of my head. She was politely looking over at me, waiting for my reply. Now, after a few speechless moments, I eventually found my voice to say yes. For salespeople, finding your voice can often be a struggle. Sure, you might not suddenly be faced with an Oscar-winning actress, but you are faced with other challenges. Products that need improvements, customers who aren't being well served, and sales teams that need your leadership. It's those salespeople who can find their voice, to speak up for change, who find the most success. They are able to look past the paychecks and monthly quotas to find what really matters, doing what's right for the customer. Speaking up, raising your voice, that's where the real magic lies. And my story today isn't about Nicole Kidman. In fact, we're going far away from the glitz and glam of Hollywood. We're going to start at a cocktail party and then travel farther back in time to meet a young girl who would go to school wearing a potato sack. I'm Andrew Davis, and this is how it all began. There was something magical about Susie the night she walked into the cocktail party. She was calm, confident, and poised, warmly greeting her coworkers. Anyone seeing her would have never guessed at the anguish and turmoil of her last few months. No, Susie stood strong. She was her grandmother's little girl, a woman who experienced racism, sexism, and abuse, and still emerged to fight another day. Today, she held her head high as she walked towards a conversation that would change her life forever. Now, to fully understand where Susie got her strength and will to succeed, let's travel back to the start of her story. Here, we'll find a young girl in a schoolyard, itching at her brown and lumpy dress. You see, potato sacks are not attractive, and they are most certainly not comfortable to wear. But the young child had no choice. Susie was living in the segregated South under the watchful eye of her very strict grandmother. When she wasn't in school, she was expected to follow the rules or face the whip. Their home was primitive, completely free from electricity or plumbing, and her grandma's greatest wish was that her granddaughter would grow up to work for some decent white folks. She also wanted her granddaughter to learn to use her voice. So, by the age of 3, Susie was already reading and reciting Bible verses for her local congregation. The young girl even earned the nickname of Preacher. Susie's confidence in reading and speaking was so strong that she once wrote a letter to her kindergarten teacher. In her letter, Susie proudly proclaimed, "I don't think I belong here because I know a lot of big words." Well, that was enough to get Susie out of kindergarten and into the first grade. At age 6, Susie moved to a rough Milwaukee neighborhood to live with her mother. Left alone all day while her mom worked, Susie had to grow up fast. And it was during this part of her life that she was abused by a male relative and even raped. By 14, she was pregnant. When her infant son tragically died, she moved in with her father in Nashville. Now here, she found some stability and a second chance. Susie's father provided her with guidance and structure, rules and books. Each week, she was required to do a book report, and each day she went without dinner until she had learned 5 new vocabulary words. Gone were the days of wearing potato sacks to school. Now Susie was excelling. She was part of the drama club, the debate club, and even student council. She even entered a speaking contest to win a full university scholarship. Susie started reading the afternoon newscasts on the local radio station. Once in college, she took a job with CBS and became Nashville's first African-American co-anchor of the evening news. She was just 19 years old. At every turn, she was using her voice to advance her position in life. In truth, her greatest dream for the future was simple: to be paid to talk. That's why a job offer from a TV station in Baltimore seemed like the perfect fit. But really, Susie was about to enter the greatest growing period of her adult life. The arrival of a young new co-anchor for the evening news was the talk of the town. Her name was plastered on billboards and buses and TV promotions. Everyone was excited for the young new co-anchor to join the 6 o'clock broadcast. Well, everyone except her new co-anchor. He was an older white man who, for years, had enjoyed the spotlight on his own. He was a local celebrity, and he didn't appreciate a young black woman reporter from Tennessee stepping in. So he took every opportunity to put Susie in her place. Snide comments, embarrassing remarks, the cold shoulder. He was determined to let the young reporter know she didn't belong. The pressure of the new job took its toll, and Susie became stiff and dull on air. She regularly mispronounced words and was even deemed unfit for television. So, just 7.5 months into her new TV contract on April Fool's Day in 1977, Susie received some devastating news. She was being pulled from the evening news. Their reason for yanking her? Well, she was too big, too black, too engaged, and too emotional, just too much for the news. Even worse, she was being demoted to a role that felt more appropriate for a station intern than a former anchor. The months that followed were some of the hardest in Susie's adult life. Each day was a struggle. She hated the work and started to question her future in news. Little did she know that a simple conversation at a social function was about to put her life on a whole new path. The Baltimore sky loomed large the night before the event. Susie took a deep breath to settle her nerves before walking into the party. After looking over the room, she noticed an unfamiliar set of faces smiling back at her. It was the new station manager and his wife beckoning her over to chat. How did this conversation change Susie's life? What new opportunity was on her horizon? Oh, and how does Nicole Kidman re-enter our story? We'll find out after this message from Salesfeed. I'm Andrew Davis, and like you, I know that sales is a tough gig. It's competitive, it's mentally exhausting, and what works today might not work tomorrow. That's why we're here to help. Who's we? Well, we are Salesfeed, brought to you by Vidyard. And we believe in sharing ideas and stories and news and entertainment to help you be more successful, to help you sell more tomorrow. You can find us on LinkedIn and YouTube and Instagram and iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, or head over to salesfeedmedia.com and trade your email address to get the best of Salesfeed in your inbox every single week. Salesfeed, brought to you by Vidyard, because we could all use some fuel for a better life in sales. Susie was being given a second chance. Sure, it wasn't on the evening news, but it was still on TV. And ironically, it was the news station manager's wife who first noticed something special about Susie at the cocktail party. In the wife's words, there was something magical about her. She wore her heart on her sleeve and was not at all pretentious. So, when the station created a new daytime talk show, Susie seemed like the perfect person for the job. What happened next was pure magic. Everything felt effortless. Susie's chemistry with her co-host and the live audience was genuine. This was what she was meant to do. This was her calling in life. The show took off, and after 8 years, a Midwest news director plucked her out of Baltimore to bring her voice to his town. The new show was expanded and rebranded. It became a wild success because Susie had found her voice. The name of this show? Well, it was named after Susie, of course, but I left out one little detail. Back when Susie first started on the news, they wanted her to change her name. They suggested the name Susie because it was friendly, a name people would remember. Well, I think you'll agree that Susie's real name is pretty memorable: Oprah Winfrey. And the Oprah Winfrey Show would go on to win 47 Emmy Awards over the course of its 25-year run. Yes, a young girl in rural Mississippi who wore potato sacks to school eventually became the first African-American female billionaire and one of the most influential women in the world. She's a talk show host, a media mogul, an actress, a philanthropist, and a recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And want to know something else funny? In 2011, when I met Nicole Kidman at the airport, while Nicole was coming from shooting the very last episode of Oprah's show. Together, they celebrated one of the most successful TV runs in history. Oprah has helped change the world, not because she was quiet, no. At every opportunity, she has used her voice to speak up. She spoke up about her childhood abuse, her teen pregnancy, about racism and sexism and inequality, and gave others a voice to do the exact same thing. So think about your job. Where can you do more to raise your voice? Can you help your company improve a product? Can you be a better advocate for your customer? Can you make the difference for your team? Are you brave enough to do more than that? Learning to raise your voice takes courage, but it also comes with big rewards. Just remember that small child in a school, a girl wearing a potato sack who bravely told the teacher she deserved more. Because for Oprah Winfrey, that's how it all began. That's How It All Began is written by Rachel Kraft and Andrew Davis. Our editor is Sean Cleary. Our head of research is Emily Allen. Our illustrators are Sienna Roman and Skylar Fusco. Our production manager is Elizabeth Davis, and our executive producer is Tyler Lessard. That's How It All Began is a production of Monumental Shift and is distributed by Salesfeed and Vidyard. Find us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next episode of That's How It All Began.